Kamusta na kayo?
Hola, hola, everyone.
What's poppin', everybody? My name is Nico Blitz.
And I'm Jackie Ramirez.
And welcome to another episode of the Mexipino podcast. We are here, and forewarning, this is going to be a very sensitive topic type podcast.
Yeah, we will be discussing topics such as sexual assault, sexual harassment, and things involving minors. So please just keep that in mind. Our stances on it are very much, obviously, you guys will see that we do not condone any of this. And this is purely just us talking about certain subjects that have been coming to light in the media recently about several different people and companies.
Yeah. So honestly, if you do have like kids around, this might be a podcast that you might want to keep to yourself, or, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to say this. It might be a podcast that you might possibly want to like skip. But, you know, I think it's very important for us to talk about these things because, A, you know, Jackie and I are both in the media, and pop culture is like literally it runs our lives. But B, like, I think the severity of what's been transpiring, whether it be on like Hulu shows and in real life, all of these things have just been coming together within our circle of entertainment over the past couple of weeks. So we felt like it was very important to talk about this.
And before we actually start getting into it, if you or anybody you know has been sexually assaulted and wishes to speak to somebody anonymously, the helpline is 1-800-656-4673. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Just to kind of cover everything that we are going to be talking about, just to, you know, continue on with this forewarning, we will be talking about Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him.
Sean Combs.
Sean Combs. We will be talking about
Quiet on Set.
Yes, Quiet on the Set.
Quiet on Set, which is a documentary talking about, you know, the reality of childhood actors, especially in the Nickelodeon space, which is kind of crazy because these were the shows that we grew up on, and now we had no idea like this was what was happening. Yeah, there were certain instances and like certain shows where you were like, that's kind of weird, but like, you know, it's like it made you uncomfy at times, but you never really thought, oh, maybe it's because something else is happening behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. It had Jackie and I, both of us, thinking about when we want to have kids, and the question really came up to like, you know, would we want our kids to be in this entertainment industry because of how like mentally jarring it is, especially for a child. We can circle back on that answer a little bit later. But, you know, let's talk about the number one thing that's been popping up this week. P. Diddy,
Sean Combs, which is crazy. I mean, I feel like everybody in the entertainment industry, and even not in the entertainment industry, has always heard about these like crazy accusations about like P. Diddy and his parties and the way he is, the way that like, you know, he just maneuvers sometimes. And I've obviously have never been to a P. Diddy party.
Thank God you never been to a P. Diddy party.
But like, it is crazy because like we did interview him at the station, and then we saw him literally a week before this all happened.
Yeah.
And it's just almost kind of crazy because it's like, you never know what goes on in someone's personal life. Like, yeah, celebrities are out there and we pretty much know everything, but we really don't.
Yeah, that's the thing. We think we know everything, but in the reality of it, we don't know anything that's going on in their lives. Yeah. Like, you know, I was talking to Jackie about this, like, when it comes to Diddy, we met him over at Rolling Loud backstage, like during the Kanye West Ty Dolla $ign performance. And I got the chance to shake his hand. And then a part of me was like, yo, this is cool because it's Diddy. But then another part of me was like, but industry-wise, I already have an idea of like how you move. So it was kind of like this cool handshake, but also an awkward handshake at the same time. And honestly, I felt a little bit like eerie about it.
Yeah, honestly, I will say, like, speaking from like personal experience, that meeting him, there definitely is this like is he a tortured genius? Is he like, there's just this feeling that you get around him that it's like, okay, like, is he just this like this mastermind that no one gets, and like, you know, is he's avant-garde and like, you know, like type of thing, or is it because there's something much more cynical that's happening?
Yeah.
And to have the FBI and Homeland Security raid your fucking house, they got some shit on you. That's literally all I gotta say.
Not just a house, but 3 houses.
3 houses. It was LA, New York, and Miami.
Yeah.
But like they don't just wake up one day and be like, you know what, let's go raid Diddy's house.
Well,
like,
that's the thing. It was like planned out for all of it to happen at once on the same day, right? At that point, there's kind of no escaping it. And obviously for the past couple of months, like, you know, whether you've been paying attention to the tabloids or not, Diddy's name has been tossed around like so many times. I want to say probably since like the end of last year when everything was happening between like him and Cassie, who is Filipino, let me just say that. But, you know, like them trying to figure out like this money situation and Cassie trying to get her money from Diddy for all the pain and suffering that he caused her.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like Cassie was just like the beginning. She opened up the floodgates for it.
Oh yeah.
It was like, yeah, like again, there was always these accusations against Diddy and like underage minors and like just even other people that were probably of like age, but then it was like a consent issue, you know? And there was always these like accusations, and then Cassie came out and she's like, I have the proof, I have the timeline, like this is what happened. And then you see these videos. That's the crazy part, is that whenever a celebrity gets exposed or is under fire for something that's absolutely insane, we go back and we start looking at videos and we're just like, why didn't we see this? Like, why didn't we pay attention more? Maybe somebody would have noticed something. There's an interview with Diddy and Cassie on the carpet, I think of the Met Gala, and you could just tell that like Diddy was very much like stay here.
Well, because you think about the situations that they're put in, right? Like, you know, in some way, shape, or form, like we see these celebrities as like the gods or like the idols of like, you know, what's happening nowadays. And so when you see like a Diddy or literally anybody else next to, you know, unfortunately like a 15-year-old kid or like a Cassie or like a Justin Bieber when he was like super young, like you're kind of playing it off as like, oh, well, you know, that's just Diddy. That's just like celebrities doing, you know, celebrity things.
Yeah.
But also too, from like a media standpoint, you know, a single video of like Justin Bieber and Diddy might get like 2 million views, 3 million views, 50 million views. How many people actually watch that video? How many of those people are actually like regular people like you and I? And then how many of us are actually thinking that deeply when it comes to, Diddy said some kind of weird shit when it comes to Justin Bieber. Like, Jackie was able to find like a resurfaced like audio of that Justin Bieber Diddy I guess interview, and we're gonna play it for you guys right now.
Right now he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream, and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Justin,
it's a 15-year-old's dream, and we can't disclose anything that we're doing. That sounds nuts.
Yeah, and like you think about like in that moment and when that video came out, everyone's probably thinking, and maybe people still think like, oh, they're probably talking about music that Diddy's gonna help like, you know, Justin with or this and that. But we never know. We never know. Like, we truly just don't know. Justin Bieber is in that video right next to Diddy, and he's just standing so awkwardly that you're just like, he's kind of like, what are we going to do? Like, wait, hold on. Like,
yeah. Well, I can't imagine, because truthfully, in retrospect, when I look back when I was like 15 or 16 years old, I was dumb. You know, as much as I felt like I knew so much about myself and the world, like that was literally just the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
And everything that I know now, like, is significantly larger than when I knew when I was like 14, 15. So can you imagine, right? Let me put you guys in the scenario, being like a 15-year-old in the house of one of the biggest music icons, one of the biggest music moguls in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you must have to listen to him, because if it's like, well, he made Big's career pop off, right?
Yeah.
Mace at one point. Everybody under Bad Boy, he made them all pop off, so why would I not listen to Diddy?
Yeah, I think like with that, like you said, like you're just kind of like a lot of these people, and it very much is this type of industry, you know, where you hear these things. For those who aren't in the like the entertainment industry, like for those who aren't part of the industry, like you hear like, oh well, if you do this for me, or if you know like you know who this is, like you want to be in their good graces type of thing, and so you just stay quiet, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, like a lot of very similar things like happen to women in the industry, for example, right? Like, guys, there are situations that were literally like people will fuck their way to the top, right?
Yeah. And
so imagine being a kid and you're thinking to yourself, like, not that I gotta like fuck my way to the top, but like if, you know, if like a Diddy or someone is putting like their hands on you and you're thinking like, okay, maybe this is just normal, maybe this is just like part of everything that is supposed to happen in order for me to succeed. Like, yes, you might want to like not say you might want to say like, oh, like, well, these kids should have known better. They don't know any better when they're 14, 15 years old.
Yeah, and it's also like you're in a state, I don't think people really understand, to be honest, unless you've been through it, that like you're also kind of in a state of shock, and also kind of a state of like okay, like, wow, like almost guilt, I want to say, like, because it's like, okay, wow, I don't want this person to leave. I don't want this person to jeopardize something.
Yes.
I don't, and it goes for whether it's like power relationships like that in this industry, or even just like romantic relationships. Like, there are people, yes, I mean, you could be in a relationship where you guys call each other boyfriend or girlfriend or girlfriend and girlfriend or whatever it may be, and people can manipulate your feelings of like, you know, oh, well, you know, you don't want to have sex with me, I'm gonna leave. And then you're like, no, wait. That immediately, when you start feeling like, oh, I feel like if I don't do this, then something bad is gonna happen, then that's when you have like gone through an assault. You have gone through a certain type of manipulation. And whether you're a kid, a grown-ass adult, you don't know that feeling until you've been in it.
Yeah. Didn't Usher talk about all of this too?
Usher?
Usher. Well, Usher was also like under Diddy at one point. No pun intended. No pun intended.
Oh, that brings up another thing after.
Yeah, but you know, like Usher was also like under Diddy at one point, and you know, you kind of think about like, well, Usher started when he was like fairly young too.
Yeah.
And not that, you know, I'm not going to make any sort of like accusations here, as I wear like an Usher shirt as well.
That's crazy.
But all I'm saying is like, I can't imagine how early in like Diddy's like music mogul career, like any of these things could have actually started, because like to go from working with like some of the biggest artists in the world and of all time to kid sex trafficking.
Yeah.
Like that's so painful to hear.
Yeah, and like, I mean, that's what a lot of people are now, and this is just the media industry that's trying to grab the next headline. Like, who's gonna be next? Who's gonna come out? Who's gonna be the one to say like, oh yeah, like I was the one that was assaulted or trafficked by Diddy or this and that, and who's gonna be the victims that are playing part in Diddy's, like, you know, whatever. Like, I've seen so many media outlets put Prince Harry's name out there already with Diddy, and I'm like, wild. Wait, what? And so like I had to read it, but you have to understand too, and in no way am I protecting Diddy, I'm protecting Prince Harry in this instance, where read the stories, read the articles, because you see a headline where it says Prince Harry named in Diddy case. And you're like, whoa.
That's wild, actually.
But what the actual article says, and if you read, like, you know, what everything says, and like
paragraphs 1 through 3.
Yeah, if you read what it says, it'll say like, oh, Prince Harry was named in attending some of Diddy's parties along with other celebrities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know how many celebrities have attended Diddy's parties? Now, granted, some may have done some stuff, some may have not, but the media has this way of putting, and this is speaking from somebody who is in media and who sometimes has to make these clickbait type of like statements and headlines, you know? I mean, I you know, myself try and being in this industry, try and give people the nicest headlines in the most like clickbait way possible, where it's like,
well, because you want them to come back.
You want them to come back, but some media outlets obviously just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But like, read the articles, read the stories. Don't just read the headlines, because it does not say everything. The headlines are to grab your attention and not to give you the full story.
You know, speaking of headlines, this was more of like a verbal headline. So back when I was working at Real 92.3 with Bootleg Kev and DJ Head, we had this one-off, not a one-off bit, but it was maybe like 3 or 4 times that we actually did this, and this bit was called the Celebrity Smash.
Ooh,
and I wish we had Kev on the podcast for this, because he could talk about this forever.
What did we call him?
Oh, let's see.
I want to see if Bootleg Kev answers.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a Bootleg Kev answer.
While we're
Let's see.
Okay, so this is what happened. All right, so some guy calls in who's obviously playing for the other team. You know, probably catching. Didn't sound like a pitcher. Nonetheless, he calls in and he says, "Hey, I had a month-long experience sexually with mogul / CEO who may or may not be who you guys made this podcast about. This mogul or whatever this guy worked at like a designer store. I think it was like, I don't know, Gucci or Dior, some designer store. And this guy came in and shopped and got a bunch of stuff for his family. And then his handler, his assistant or whatever, went up to him and got his number for right? Or not for allegedly.
Allegedly, whoever this podcast is about.
Right. So then what ended up transpiring was the dude who got his number reached out to him, invited him over. Long story short, they have this like month-long fuck-a-thon. He goes to like these parties at his house. Him and watch some dude fuck his girlfriend at the time, who may or may not be, and they were butt fucking and sucking, and then cut him off, and he said he didn't hear from him or nothing.
Wow.
Like he just stopped talking to him.
That's crazy. Okay.
So yeah.
Wow.
So for the person who may or may not have been spoken of on that specific call, like that was my first instance of actually like hearing about his everything that was going on like in his life, and I'm just like,
really?
and I was like, there's no way. But I started to think about it a lot more, because I end up watching a lot of like just random movies, random shows, and like you know how there was like this rapper kid that like my cousin Drew ended up putting me and Jackie on, right? This is a side note that is going to like correlate with everything. And he said this line where he was just like, I fuck so much pussy, I might get some bussy. And for all of you,
I might switch to bussy.
I might switch to bussy. And I'm just like, what the fuck is bussy? And then Jackie's like, that's boy pussy. And I'm like, oh, that's nuts actually, right? And so I started to think about all this shit a lot more, and I'm just like, wow, can you imagine just having so much sex with so many like from a guy, right? Can you imagine just having so much sex with so many different women that like you kind of get bored and you're just like, oh, let me experiment with dudes.
That's insane.
And I don't know if it's like a sexual thing. I think maybe it's more so out of like some other unfulfilling desire. I don't know.
I feel like that's what a lot of like celebrities of certain statures like they experience. Like I feel like we can't like fully grasp that because like celebrities that are such of that high like caliber, they have so much money. They could get any person they wanted. They could, they could just do whatever they want with no consequence, that they're just like, you know what, let me see what I can get away with, because they think that they're above it all and that they won't ever get like caught for it.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's happening in this instance with Diddy. I will say there is this new phrase that is circling around that no Diddy is the new pause.
No Diddy is the new pause?
Yeah.
Like, did he do it or did he not? Or just like, no Diddy?
No, like, no Diddy. Like, if you say something that's, like, questionable, that it's now, like, you got to say, like, no Diddy.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's like, who was it that said it first?
Oh, no.
Like, who was it that said it first? I wanna get it right. But, like, somebody said it on a podcast recently that it was just, like, it was kind of like funny, to be honest, but hold on. Let me see.
So you got to replace pause with no
Mace.
Diddy. Mace said it.
Mace said it on a podcast. He's on his podcast that he was just like, no Diddy. Let me see if I can find it.
Mace ain't the one to take you.
Hold on.
Wow, that's nuts.
Let me see if I can find it.
Mace turned his back on Diddy. That's insane.
Yeah, it was actually funny, and then everyone was like, like,
I don't know, man. I'm like kind of 50-50 about that because it's like you're kind of glorifying that at that point.
I think like a lot of people are just making like fun of it at this point. Look, hold on. All right, I'm gonna send it to you so you could play it.
Okay.
And so that way I could get your reaction as well. Hold on. I'm gonna send it to you through text. We're literally just sending each other audio too, guys, as we go along. This is how you know we are an authentic podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a message to Anthony Davis that you would like to say?
Anthony Davis, the talk is good. The talk is perfectly good, but we're still waiting on you to take over the team and to make sure that the team make it to the playoffs. That's what all big dogs, paws, and alphas do. No Diddy,
All them laughing right now.
I don't know, Brad.
That's insane. Oh my God.
They were so stunned that they were just like, what did you just say?
He said no Diddy, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Well, I mean, even Cat Williams, right? Cat Williams is talking about how, like, literally 2024, like, people are going to get exposed.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of this year, like, Cat Williams went on Shannon Sharp's podcast and literally had his list of, like, FUs, and he gave us, like, he warned us that this shit was gonna happen. Like, Listen to this.
And he turned it down. Who gonna turn down $50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Yikes. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Kid, I need no.
$50 million and he turned it down.
Like,
Who gonna turn it down?
Shout out to Cat Williams for not like turning down his integrity.
Yeah, I mean, Cat Williams, there's another like piece of audio where he said like so many people are gonna get exposed.
Period. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
I mean, literally, like, we were all calling, like, Cat Williams, like, oh, he's on, like, drugs.
He's
and
on
shit,
some, yeah,
he's, like, going crazy, blah, 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 blah. But, like, these are the people that, like, they're in it, you know?
Oh, they're much deeper in the industry than us industry people.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. Like, they see everything. And Cat Williams warned us, like, he knew what was going to happen. And Cat Williams, I didn't say shit about you, but I'm so sorry that people did say shit about you.
Yeah, because I was rocking with Cat Williams.
Like,
I listen to him.
Like, it's crazy to think that everything is coming to light now. Yeah.
Speaking of celebrities who was also getting backlash because of everything that they were talking about the inner portions of the industry and Diddy specifically. Let's go back to a Drink Champs interview. Kanye West.
Daughter in public, and I didn't have to kidnap my daughter in public, and I didn't have the address of my child. None of these niggas that want to say something
Travis
now.
Gave you the address, though?
Travis gave me the address.
Right.
But as far as Meek Mills, Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, fuck you. Hold on.
Okay.
All you fake hard niggas, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck who, because you can't shoot nobody anyway. And the reason why you got to talk is because you did a deal, you fucking fed. You know what I'm saying? Ooh. That's why you got to come at me, because part of the deal for you to be and get out of jail is that you promise that you're going to go pull my co-car. So y'all niggas shut the fuck up about me. Now let me say it calm. You niggas shut the fuck up.
About me. That's the best part.
That's not, I mean, and you know, I've always been a Kanye stan, like 1,000%, with the exception of like a couple things that he be saying, but
a
like
lot of things that he be saying.
Or a lot of things that he be saying, but honestly, like they're like, it's kind of like when we see like a Diddy video next to Justin Bieber. We're looking at that and we're kind of just like, nah, you know what? There's no way Diddy could be like, you know, like this weird child molester or whatever. Sex trafficker. And then when we look at videos like Kanye West, we just think he's kind of crazy. Or we look at videos like Cat Williams, like he's kind of crazy. But what we don't know is literally what they know. So some blame comes into us just not really knowing like what exactly is happening within the inside. And a lot of us become sheep to it.
Yeah.
We just absorb the information and we just take it for like point blank what it is. And like, oh, Kanye is wilding out again. Oh, Cat Williams is wilding out again. Like, oh, Diddy's just being Diddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
And that's why, like, it goes back to my point with, like, the media industry and, like, the headlines and all that. We're just taking everything on the surface level.
Yeah.
We never know what's going on behind the scenes. And that's why, like, stuff like aside from the Diddy stuff, like, that's why, like, the Quiet on Set documentary about, like, child actors and the dark side of child acting on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
In the prime of Nickelodeon.
Yeah. When Nickelodeon was popping.
Like, literally, there was no, like, Disney wasn't even competing with Nickelodeon at that point.
Yeah.
Like, Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, like, all that. Like, so many shows, so many, like, extras, so many... I mean, if you look at Amanda Bynes now, it's sad, you know? She went through so much, and it's because, like, if you watch a documentary, you see that, like, from a very young age, she was put in front of the camera. We don't know what she went through, you know? We don't know if she was one of those kids, you know? And, like, now Drake Bell is just coming out and saying... hey, I was one of those kids, and it happened to me.
Yeah, so we do want to give a spoiler alert for anybody who is interested in watching Quiet on Set. For all of you who don't want to watch it, we're basically going to give you all the cliff notes of what's happening on Quiet on Set. Again, as Jackie said, this is based around like the Nickelodeon like stars in like the early 90s, mid 2000s, early 2000s rather. And even though it does circle around like Drake Bell, it does circle around this big time Nickelodeon producer Dan Schneider. And basically there's just a lot of allegations around Dan Schneider of, you know, just being a little bit touchy around like the kids. And also, what was his name? The one who was actually like convicted of being like a...
Brian Peck. So he was a producer and dialogue coach and on the set of Nickelodeon. And then there was another guy, I can't remember his name, but... that guy, Brian Peck, and the other guy were actually like found to have, you know, there was relations with a child, with a minor, and there was like other things that were confirmed, and they were locked up. Like,
and a couple of the shows that they were in charge of were shows like All That, Drake and Josh. Sam and Cat, Amanda Show.
Yeah.
Keenan and Kel. Even Kel. Yeah.
Keenan and Kel, they were a part of that too. Not like, but they were like a part of that Nickelodeon crew. And I mean, like, again, it goes back to like who we give that tortured genius title to.
Well, if you think about it, right, like, I don't want to defend him as like a tortured genius, right? But then like, in these ideas of like who tortured geniuses are, like they are able to create something that is good for like the community and something that we're going to soak up. All those aforementioned shows and maybe even more that I'm not thinking of on the top of the head, like Nickelodeon is looking at this like, oh, well, if this guy is bringing us money, we just got to keep on letting him do whatever the hell he's doing, whether they know about what he's doing, like specifically with these kids or not.
Yeah, and I think like we use that like that title or that label of like the tortured genius so lightly and so harshly to people that don't deserve it. Like Kanye, I will give him like, yes, he's a tortured genius. Like there's something about him, you know? And yes, he does and clearly suffers from mental issues, but I've never heard of an extent of Kanye West on the level of P. Diddy. Well, like as far as like these allegations, as far as like messing with kids and doing this and doing that, I've never heard personally about like Kanye doing that. And that's why it's like, okay, well, how come when we give like this torture genius to P. Diddy, label to P. Diddy, it's like, we give it to him and maybe we can forgive him for these like things that he did with kids and sex trafficking and this and that because he's a torture genius. But when it comes to Kanye, because he has a mental issue, we're just like, he's a torture genius, but yeah, still fuck Kanye. Well, it's like,
yeah. Well, you know
we're giving it to the wrong person.
Well, you know what it is though? Like, you know, they always say like whenever you enter a room, right? It's never the loudest person in the room that you should pay attention to. The person that you should pay attention to is the person who is quietest in the room because they are the ones who are actually observing everything and probably the most sneakiest, right?
Oh, 1,000%.
And so, like, you put Kanye next to Diddy. Kanye is being the loudest person in the media. Diddy, he's tucked away doing whatever the fuck he's doing. Like, but you think about those two situations in a room, it's like, okay, well, I shouldn't really be paying attention to Kanye. I should be paying more attention to Diddy in this particular situation. And I don't know, man. I mean, I just think that when it comes down to, especially the Nickelodeon stuff, like, just to bring it back, like, when it comes to Drake Bell, like, he was going through, like, his years of where, like, he was kind of wilding out and nobody like really knew like what was going on. Even it looked kind of crazy too from like a audience's standpoint of like, oh, well, why doesn't Josh Peck talk to Drake Bell anymore? Like they seemed like they were buddy on the set. They seemed like they were best friends. And then, you know,
years of working together.
Exactly. Josh is still doing his career in acting. And then when stuff like this comes out where Drake Bell openly says like, you know, like, there were multiple times where there were sexual relations with him and a producer. Like everything just starts to make that much more sense as to why he started to wild out.
And in no way, yes, Drake Bell has had his moments of things that I don't think should be forgiven, in my personal opinion, and people probably won't forgive, but it does make you understand why he's done the things that he's done. Again, that doesn't excuse any of the other things that he's done.
He opened up on the documentary about how he was, texting a minor, and he did serve his time for that, and he did publicly apologize for that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't condone that specific behavior, but if you see what he went through before in his earlier years, a little part of him might have thought at one point let me reclaim my power.
Yeah, or maybe this is okay because this happened to me.
Exactly.
It's kind of like those. It's like, like cycles. How our parents raised us and stuff like that.
Exactly.
That's exactly how it works. Now, this is a much more serious offense than like our parents yelling at us.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It does. There's that. It's kind of like a victim cycle of like, okay, well, this happened to me, so maybe I can do it to somebody else because it's okay, and it just keeps on going. And there's just this constant motion of going through it, and maybe this is okay. Maybe this is the way adults are supposed to act because an adult did this to me.
Exactly.
But with that being said, like Drake Bell comes out and says, finally, like, this was me. This was me that was part of this lawsuit. I was a kid. I was 15. I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody took that power from me. Somebody like abused me. And for then other child actors who are now adults too to make fun of him.
Yeah, that shit
is the most disgusting and like just most insane thing that I can't even comprehend.
Well, I wouldn't even want to say kids, but the people who were making fun of him were the 3 main cast members of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
And honestly, they've had their fair share of like what's the word I'm looking for? Not drama, but
antics
and scandals themselves.
Yeah.
The past year and a half, ever since they started their podcast.
Yeah.
Like that girl who played
Mose.
Mose? Yeah. Is it Mose?
Or Mose. Either or.
I don't know. Clearly, you don't need to be named.
There's Ned, there's Mose, and there's Cookie.
Yeah. I don't even know your real names, and that says a lot. Yeah. But like when they started their podcast, like she started saying that like they would like she was wilding out on set and this and that, like they would have sex and this and that, and I'm like,
whoa.
And she said some wild shit. Apparently, she's also a racist too. So like, I was like literally her face annoys me, and I'm just like, I don't want to entertain this. Then that guy Ned has his own fair share of fucking scandals too. Cookie I haven't really heard about, but I'm pretty sure that he's also like in the cuts of some scandals. But it's like, you guys are on this set of your show. You guys are a part of this company, and when somebody speaks out of the caliber that Drake Bell is, and the one that put the one that walked so you guys could run, that's so fucking disrespectful.
It is disrespectful,
especially when he's talking about his abuse.
Because I don't know the inner workings of their personal relationships, but let me draw it up for you guys. Like if you had a coworker. You're working your everyday job and you have a coworker who goes through that, like, is your first thing to do to like make fun of them? Like, nah, you should actually like confide in them and like try to make sure like they're good. I don't think the first thing you want to do is publicly humiliate them like more than they probably already feel.
And honestly, like this whole Ned's Declassified cast, like them making fun of like Drake Bell and his situation, and honestly making fun of all like victims of abuse
Yeah.
Because that's what they did. They made fun of all victims of abuse.
Yeah.
Whether they were specifically talking about Drake Bell or not, they did it. Once they made fun of it, it opened up the floodgates for them. And for them to do that, it's like, bro, you're not fucking kids anymore.
Exactly.
You're grown-ass adults. And then to go on your podcast and be like, we're sorry, like, you know, we apologize. We know that what we did was wrong. Grow the fuck up.
Yeah, because
grow the fuck up.
You know, and you know, speaking for all the guys who do listen to our podcast, Mexipino podcast, like we all know there is guy talk that goes amongst us, right? Like, you know, we like to poke fun at things like every so often, but when it comes to something like this, you don't poke fun at this in like a public manner. Yeah. And honestly, like the fact that you do this in a public manner really goes to show your true colors.
That you're a piece of shit.
That you're a piece of shit. And I'm not even saying make fun of these things like within your inner circles, because I also think that's not cool at all. And so, you know, I can't even explain what they did and why they did it. I just think it's a fucked up situation, because there were instances on the Quiet on the Set docu-series to where there were people who were like, no, like Dan Schneider wouldn't do this, or like that other producer, Mr. Peck, wouldn't do this either. And, you know, a lot of these people were notable people that you would recognize, like some cast members from like Boy Meets World, for example, and a whole bunch of other people that I just can't name off the top of my head. And quickly, as soon as things transpire years later, some of these people have regrets and say like, hey, if I had known what was happening back then,
I wouldn't.
For what I know now, I wouldn't have publicly stated and defended, you know, some of these producers.
See, that's the thing. They never publicly stated that. It was all court documents that were sealed.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess some, and we may never know this, but the people who were defending that guy, Brian Peck, who was the dialogue coach and that had abused Drake Bell, a lot of those actors, and notable actors that you guys know, they said, some were saying that they didn't know what the case was. They just knew that they had to write like a good intent letter on his favor. That some didn't know what the charges were, what he was going to jail for, and this and that. That may be true. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But like either way, it's like there are real life victims. There are, whether you're a celebrity or not.
These are real fucking people.
These are real fucking people. These are real victims. And if you or any of your friends, if you're in a friend group that makes fun of that, like check yourself and check your friends. Like that shit isn't cool. Like it's childish. It's disgusting. You're literally like, just think about if it was your fucking kid. Think about if that were to happen to you or to your child, if you have a child, or, you know, like it's insane, and it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. It really can.
So a couple of things, right? To answer the question that I had begged in the beginning of this podcast, would Jackie and I, when we eventually have kids, would we want them to be part of the entertainment industry? Music, radio, television, film, any of that sort. I want to give my answer first, and I told her that my answer would still be yes. Despite everything that is happening, my answer would still be yes, because I love what I do so much, and if our kids love this type of industry as well, then yeah, like I wouldn't take that away from them. But the only thing that needs to be adjusted is these laws that surround minors and children.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let like my 10-year-old kid around just like any fucking body. I need to physically be there every single time.
Yeah.
Because there is no fucking way I am not going to be there. And honestly, like, the United States needs to be a lot more strict about these child labor laws. Like, no, that doesn't mean they're working fucking 12 whatever hours a day. No, they cannot go to a producer's house like by themselves, and producers need to be fucking okay with that because it is literally creepy.
Because if not, you're fucking weird.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no reason at all, like, entertainment industry wise or just like everyday life, that a grown adult should be left alone with a child that is not theirs.
I wanna shout out one of my little homies, right? His name's Sean Breezy. He's a dope Filipino like singer from Las Vegas. He's 16 years old, right? And so I reached out to him on some like, hey, like, you're a really dope artist and I'm going to be in Vegas, like, you know, a couple months from now. Like, let's go ahead and have like, you know, just some lunch, right? And then I thought to myself, I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's cool. But I was also like, hey, do you have like a dad or like an adult that like that can accompany you? Because I also don't want him to feel like, who's this random ass fucking 30-year-old dude like trying to get lunch with me? And, you know, like, I had to, because of situations like this, and mind you, this happened before, like, I have to think about these things, because if I'm a 16-year-old kid and I'm getting approached by like some 30-year-old dude, like, that's some weirdo ass shit. If like, you know, like, oh, my dad ain't here, or like my mom, like, you know what I mean? That's weird as shit, dude. That is weird. Yeah. He's a dope singer. Y'all should check him out, by the way. And yes, I did have lunch with him and his dad. Yes.
For me, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer that question right now, to be honest, because I feel like I don't know. I would want to do everything that I can to make my kid happy, but I would also want to do everything that I could to protect my child. And I now see, you know, because of all these, like, the stuff that's coming out and this, like, Quiet on Set documentary, I now see what my parents meant when I was a kid and I wanted to sleep over my best friend's house. And they were like, no, you can't do that. Like, no, no, even though we know their parents, or even though like we've known them for years, no, you can't, because we never know. You never know what can happen. Yeah. And I realize that now, and it was even like family too, that like my parents wouldn't let me like sleep over, you know, but it was just it's very hard for me to answer. I want to say like, yeah, I would let my kid do whatever they wanted to do, but knowing what I know, and even that putting my child at risk, it doesn't sit well with me. So I really don't know until we actually have our kid.
I hear you. I do have one last question for you.
Okay.
And this question also goes out to DJs. Are you still playing Diddy records in the club or any setting?
Damn.
So that means you can't play Honey by Mariah Carey. You can't play Only You, the original and the remix by 112. That's no B.I.G. records. That's no Faith Evans. That's some Mary J. Blige records. That's some J-Lo records. There's a Whitney Houston record.
Damn.
That's a lot of records. There's some LL Cool J, SWV.
Damn.
That's a lot of records that you can't play.
You can't play R. Kelly or P. Diddy anymore. That's crazy.
That's a lot. Would you play some Diddy still?
I don't think so, no. I don't, because, bro, the FBI raided his house. They have fucking proof of something.
Yeah.
Homeland Security raided his house. He fled at 6 a.m. in the fucking morning out of Van Nuys Airport, which is literally like down the street.
Yeah. That's a lot of records.
And he has a drug mule, like, that just got arrested, who was a former Syracuse basketball player.
All I'm saying is, man, these artists are making it hella hard to keep on playing their shit in 2024 and 2025. Let me just say that. So,
Cat Williams warned us.
Yes.
He warned us.
And Kanye warned us.
That too.
Stream vultures. My name is Nico Blitz.
I'm Jackie Ramirez.
And this is the Mexipino podcast. We're out, everybody. Peace.
Bye.